2, 1, 0.
All right, welcome to another episode of Islands in the League presented by DraftKings. This is our live reactions to Game 1. And before I get into my reactions, I want to acknowledge the polo shirt that I have on. I had to stop by a charity event earlier this evening before the game started. The attire was casual cocktail. So I did not have to be in a full get up, button-up shirt, suit, all that. So I went a little casual. And yes, the shirt is made from Sea Island cotton, in case you were asking. Lots to get into with the game. I do want to say, if you guys have questions, I do want to have an opportunity, especially during the finals here. If you have any questions about the game, about specific players, put them in the comments. Jason will relay me the questions through my headphones. But I want to start with this. Denver's clearly the better team. We said that before the series. We said that throughout the playoffs. They have looked like the best team in basketball going all the way back to the first round against the Minnesota Timberwolves. So Miami has to do a bunch of things well, and a bunch of things can't go well for the Denver Nuggets. Because I think talent-wise, overall talent, and then we'll get into the Jokic-Murray two-man game in a second. I think overall, right, the Nuggets have more. That's just a fact. Here's, in my opinion, what has to go right? Jimmy has to have a big game scoring the ball. Jimmy has to have a big game getting downhill and getting to the foul line. That didn't happen tonight. The Miami Heat did not put a lot of pressure on the rim, and that resulted in a minuscule amount of free throws. Jimmy also getting downhill and being aggressive, that draws fouls, non-shooting fouls, that gets you into the bonus. That helps your team, right? They grab Duncan Robinson off the ball, and you're in the bonus. He gets 2 free throws. He sees the ball go in. So I think it starts with Jimmy. Bam's got to play well. Okay, we got that tonight. Bam was as aggressive as we've seen him shooting the basketball. Again, not a ton of rim pressure. A lot of those shots came out of the pocket. Jokic in the heavy drop, with the exception of Duncan Robinson, who he was way up against in pick and roll and drop coverage. Everyone else, for the most part, he's in that heavy drop. They're content with the pocket pass to Bam, and Bam, beating them with, 1,000 needle cuts? I don't remember the exact phrase, but Bam shooting 13, 14-footers 25 times a game. Don't know that gets it done against the Denver Nuggets. All right, so you got to have those two things. You got to have Bam having a good offensive night. You got to have Jimmy being aggressive, getting to the foul line, being downhill, attacking the rim. You got to have a good shooting night. And that's, to me, where this game, I thought Denver played amazing in the first half from the start. That, to me, is where this game was really lost, because I'll give Miami credit for coming back and making it a 9-point game at one point. I think it was 96-87. Making it a 9-point game. Lowry, that 14-0 run they had, end of the third, start of the fourth. Lowry hitting a couple back-to-back threes. But 4 for 17 in the first half. They did go 9 for 22 in the second half shooting threes, so better there. But they've got to shoot the ball well. And then you've got to figure out the Jokic-Murray thing, which we'll get into in a second. And you've got to, in some ways, limit the Denver Nuggets guys. Bruce Brown, I thought, had a great game. Aaron Gordon, first half, specifically that first quarter, was phenomenal, just completely punishing mismatches. And then they basically said, Jimmy, you got him. And they stopped looking for the mismatch. There was a couple times he tried to post up. Didn't turn out well. Michael Porter Jr., off shooting night, but thought he played phenomenal, got good looks. And we're going to talk about the variance, right, with the Miami Heat shooting. Denver shot 8 for 27 from 3. 8 for 27. So as good as Denver played at times during this game could have been a lot worse. Michael Porter Jr., 2 for 11 from 3. Murray, 2 for 7. Some of those were end of shot clock heaves. I kind of dismissed those, but I thought Michael Porter Jr. specifically got some really good looks, in rhythm looks that didn't go down. But another double-double from him. His rebounding during these playoffs has been phenomenal. And I thought his defense was great, especially in the first half when they were really trying to target him. Got some deflections, got a block from behind. He has been much more active on the ball during these playoffs when he has been challenged and targeted. And so out of those things, what did the Miami Heat get tonight? What did they get? They got a good Bam game. Gabe Vincent shot it well. Haywood Highsmith, just a phenomenal performance on both ends. I thought defensively he was great. He was into Jamal Murray. He was disruptive. Took the rhythm out of it at times during that second half for the Denver Nuggets. So you have some good stuff from the Heat, but you're not necessarily going to win when Max Strus and Duncan Robinson shoot 1 for 14 from 3. You're not going to win if you're not getting anything out of Caleb Martin, who was 1 for 7 and only took 2 threes, 1 for 7 from 3, or 1 for 2 from 3. Those guys have been so instrumental, especially when Jimmy's not having a monster scoring performance. So a couple things went right. A couple things I think you can build on. The one thing I want to say, though, about Miami Heat and strategy is we've talked a number of times about the zone. Even when they got stops against the zone, the Nuggets got whatever they wanted. There was a stretch there to start the second quarter when Jokic was out of the game. They scored on 4 of the first 5 possessions, and it wasn't particularly hard. Like, they were getting clean looks. They went back to the zone, some with Jokic in the game in the second half, and they just got the ball to the middle of the floor and missed a couple easy 15-footers. Murray missed one. Jokic missed one. They stayed with it for a while. But once Jokic gets the ball in the middle of that zone, he's spraying it out to shooters. They cut the lead, I think, to 10 or 12. He found Jeff Green on a baseline cut on a pick and roll out of the zone with Jamal Murray. Don't love the zone in this series, even when Jokic is off the floor. I just don't love it. The Denver Nuggets have had 9 days now to prepare for this zone, and I thought they were really sharp offensively against the zone. I've said this multiple times during these playoffs. I've said it multiple times leading up to it. I will continue to reiterate this belief. And my belief is that Jokic is the best player in the NBA right now, and that Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic is the best duo in the NBA. Their skill sets complement each other so well, and they can play their two-man action in so many different ways. Give you an example, right? First play of the game. They run it all the time. It's a stagger screen, 2 back screens for Jokic. He wheels around from the left elbow and catches the ball on the right block. Bam does a great job fighting through. He fronts the screen. Murray's not in a position trying to hit the post. On the front of the screen, Jokic just runs Bam into Jamal Murray's defender. Murray turns the corner, makes a tough layup. But again, it's just like their intuitiveness together is phenomenal. There's a play where, they go DHO, they score. There's a play at the end of the first half. Murray hits Jokic in the pocket. He scores. There was a play where they got the switch. Jimmy on Jokic in the post in the first half. Bam on Jamal Murray. Not really a position off the ball that Bam is necessarily doing a lot of. I know he switches a lot, but typically when he gets the switch, they attack him one-on-one, and he usually gets a stop. So he's off the ball now against Jamal Murray. He's trying to be in a dig position, trying to help a little bit on Jokic posting up on Jimmy Butler. And what happens? Michael Porter Jr. just sits an easy back screen on Bam Adebayo. Jokic, without hesitation, hits Jamal Murray, wide open 3. There's just so many different ways that the two of them can work together. And like I said about Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, there's not that many ways. This is what makes them so special. We saw in the Lakers series an inverted pick and roll, an inverted chase action where Jokic is throwing to Murray and then going and get the ball off the DHO. Jamal Murray setting ball screens for Nikola Jokic. It happened once tonight in the second half at the top of the key. Like, their ability to mix up different actions and just make it fluid. It always looks so fluid and they are so connected on the basketball court. I don't know that there's an answer. There certainly isn't a good answer. And we will find out how the Heat adjust to that action. But as it stood tonight, what allowed Jamal Murray to really get off was Bam in that heavy drop, not really wanting to get Jokic behind him where he can now play 4-on-3, and you just can't stop it. You really can't. I haven't seen any team now. We've seen him play the Timberwolves. We've seen him play the Suns. We've seen him play the Lakers, who have a phenomenal defense. We've seen him play Miami now, one game, and haven't seen anybody come up with a game plan against that two-man action that has worked. Other guy I wanted to bring up again was Aaron Gordon, who is guarding Jimmy Butler. That's a tough matchup for Jimmy. It is. Gordon's bigger than him. He's got more length than him. He's got the agility, the athleticism. Jimmy's got to do more of targeting the matchup that he wants, getting that, and then being decisive. I don't know that the probing is going to work. I don't know that the probing is going to work like he did a lot tonight, like he does often. He's got to be decisive like he was in Game 7 against Boston. Lot of games to be played. But I do think overall the big takeaway here is Jokic Murray is the best duo in the NBA. Eric Spoelstra is a great coach. Miami has great schemes. Miami has great personnel. I didn't see anything tonight where I'm like, oh, they can get the job done. Now, will they adjust? Will they come up with something? Probably. I still don't know that it's going to get the job done. That's how good these two guys are. All right, if you guys have any questions, send them over to Jason. Jason, get in my ear. Let me know what the questions are.
What's up, JJ? The audience can hear me too. That's just the way we have to do this.
Nobody ever hears you. This is so wonderful.
All right. We're going to start with this question here from X111, which is a Roman numeral. I'm bad at Roman numerals. Is there any matchup the Heat can expose in this series?
13, Jason. 13. X111. That's 13.
Okay, you went to Duke. I dropped out of college.
I did go to Duke. I learned that in 5th grade at Back Creek Elementary School. A specific matchup. So I was thinking about this today, actually, prior to the game, and I was thinking about the Butler-Gordon matchup and who Butler would target in that matchup. And my thought was that he would go after whoever Jamal Murray was guarding. He would be the screener, and he would try to manipulate it to get Jamal Murray onto him. The reason I thought that was because of the way the Heat tried to attack Jalen Brunson during the Heat-Knicks series. Now, obviously, didn't necessarily wear Jalen Brunson down offensively. Jalen still got his, and I don't know that it would wear Jamal Murray down, but the Heat did have some success trying to target Jalen Brunson in that series. So that's the one for me. I know that they tried, with Michael Porter Jr. in the first half, and like I said, I thought they did a good job. But outside of Murray, who I'm not saying he's a bad defender, but it would seem like he would be the guy that they could try to get onto Jimmy Butler, and Jimmy could have some success there. Great question, 13. Anything else, Jason?
Yeah, I got one from Pistons up next. Has the altitude ever messed up your game personally when you played in Denver?
Are the Pistons up next? Congrats to Monty Williams, by the way. Jesus, what a bag. What a bag. Well-deserved. Should have never been fired in Phoenix. Yeah, I said it. But well-deserved. Happy for Monty. And I'm now much more bullish on the Pistons' future. I think Monty's a fantastic coach and excited to see what they do. But I don't think they're up next. What was the question?
Has the altitude ever messed up your game personally when you played in Denver?
The altitude question. I I wouldn't say it messed up my game. I've always said this. The altitude in Denver is a real thing. Anyone who says it's not a real thing is lying or hasn't ever like actually been on an NBA court and sprinted up and down the court for 3 straight minutes without a whistle. First half, first run, always a little difficult after 4 or 5 possessions going back and forth. Then you kind of settle in, you get used to it. And then sometimes when I played there, that third quarter, again, that first run coming out of halftime after the break, you're kind of like, ooh, it's like a chest thing. The air's dry, it's a chest thing. Like you feel like you're running outside in the cold. Anybody who's ever run in like 35-degree weather can understand what I'm saying. And to a degree, there's some legs stuff there. Did it affect the Heat tonight? Is that why they missed? Look, I don't know. I will say they generated some really good looks, specifically for Max Strus. I thought in the first half, got good looks. I know Jimmy as well tried some pull-up jumpers with Jokic in the drop, and his shot is naturally flat, but all of his shots were very short. Jason, let's do one more question, and then
Sure.
we'll bounce off.
Okay. I think this is one that there was a few in the comments about this. But from MCH, it says, any comments on the fact that Miami just shot 2 free throws? Is that due to a lack of aggression, you think?
100%. That was a very well refereed game, I thought. And so well refereed that I barely heard a peep out of Jeff and Mark, which is wild that we're in an NBA Finals game and they're not complaining about the refereeing. I'm only kidding. I think the aggression, some of it is personnel. Some of it is personnel. Some of it is the way that they guarded pick and roll. So Jokic all the way back, again, minus Duncan Robinson. He's all the way back. So there's not the rim pressure that Bam is going to get. I know he had the Draymond Green keep there in the second half where Jokic jumped and he turned the corner and dunked the ball, but just not a ton of rim pressure at all from Miami. And some of that is just their personnel. And so Jimmy ultimately has to be that guy. And he is a high volume free throw shooter. And was at different times in the Boston series against a really good defense. So for me, it's more about how they played tonight and the Denver Nuggets schemes than it is about referees not calling fouls. I just didn't see a lot of downhill attacks, putting pressure on the rim from the Miami Heat. This has been another episode of Islands in the League Live, presented by DraftKings. Always enjoy being with you guys. I will be on First Take tomorrow with Stephen A. and Kendrick Perkins. Can't wait. And we'll be doing this again during the finals. Talk to you guys soon.